This video is going to be about how to get to the week 5 final project, and I'm going to go over some of the portions of the project. So from the course homepage, click on week 5. You'll see these items populate. Go to final project. The final project for this course involves the analysis of an extended argument and then the presentation of a counterargument to that initial argument. Instead of finding your own arguments, we've collected a series of arguments under the final project argument options link here. So if you select that link, you'll be taken to a document that includes various arguments presented in various different philosophical, political, and social pieces. So the first thing to do would be to analyze the different articles that are in this document and find something that you would like to respond to. For example, let's say you want to respond to this article by William Baxter, The Case for Optimal Pollution. So what you do is you click on the link and it will take you to the piece itself, and you can read the article and read the argument that is presented in the article. Other arguments are presented in the document itself. So this piece from On Liberty by John Stuart Mill, you'll see here, for example, this excerpt that relates to his one of the arguments he makes in On Liberty. And so what you need to do first is decide which of the topics you want to analyze. And so reading a few of these would probably be the best place to start, and then focus on the one that you'd like to respond to. The first part of your final paper should be to evaluate the argument. And so what you do first is you identify the issue that is addressed in the argument. So remember, an issue can often be stated as a question. For example, should guns be legal? Or should gay marriage be made legal? Or should people be able to smoke marijuana legally of their own accord? The next part is you need to identify the premises and conclusions in the argument. Be sure when you do that you identify premises and conclusions in premise-conclusion format. And so don't merely write out what the person says, but you might say premise 1 is this, premise 2 is that, and the conclusion is this. So somewhere in your paper, you'll want to outline the argument in premise and conclusion format. Following that, you want to analyze the argument in terms of whether or not it's a deductive argument or an inductive argument. Remember, a deductive argument has a strict logical structure in which true premises guarantee a true conclusion. Another way to say it is that the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises. Or in a deductive argument, the deductive argument attempts to prove its conclusion. A valid deductive argument has a form such that if the premises are true, the conclusion must necessarily be true. And remember that the term sound is a term we use to refer to a valid deductive argument that in fact does have true premises. So if it's a valid deductive argument, then true premises guarantee the truth of the conclusion. If it has true premises, it is a sound argument. If the argument has an inductive component, we use the term strong or weak. Remember that an inductive argument is strong when its evidence, reasoning, data, logic, the logic of the argument, when all of those things work together to strongly support the conclusion. So the more evidence you have, the higher the percentages you have in terms of statistical analysis, the more data that you have to support your position, the stronger your argument is. Now you might find that a lot of these arguments have both inductive and deductive components. In that case, you might do your best to identify all of the arguments or all of the portions of the argument that are presented, whether in deductive or inductive form. And again, be sure to indicate if the portions are deductive, whether or not they're valid and sound, and if they're inductive, whether or not they're strong and weak. And then also explain why you believe those things to be strong or weak or valid and sound or unsound. The second part of your paper is that or in the second part of your paper, you're going to create a counter-argument to the original argument. So whether or not you agree with the argument, let's go back to the final project outline here. So let's look at this one, All Animals Are Equal by Peter Singer. Let's say that I agree with Singer that all animals are equal, and I totally agree with his position in the paper, and then after I have analyzed it, I'm even more convinced, after I've analyzed the structure of his argument as well as the strength and weakness of it, or its validity. That doesn't mean that I can't present a counter-argument. So part of, again, being a critical thinker is being able to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of all sides of an issue. And remember, there aren't merely two sides of an issue, usually in debatable political and social arguments and legal arguments. So what you need to do here is you need to present a counter-argument. So even if you agree with the initial argument, you need to present a counter-argument to that position. Now, to do so, you need to, again, outline the premises that you have, or that you could present if you don't agree with it, but present the premises that you have that support your conclusion. So if I were going to argue against Singer, then I would probably have to argue that all animals are not, in fact, equal, and perhaps I would take the position that mammals should be given more ethical merit than jellyfish, assuming that jellyfish, in fact, are animals as Singer defines them here. So if I were to take on that position, or perhaps that humans ought to carry more ethical weight or more weight in relation to different things, then I need to present premises that support my conclusion. So in order to do that, I need to do some research. Now remember, the best research, or the best sources, come from peer-reviewed journal articles in the field in which you're doing your research, or academic books. Avoid general blogs or internet articles that come from random websites that aren't written by experts in the field. Avoid Wikipedia. Again, Wikipedia is a good place to start to get a general idea of what the issues are. And in addition, sometimes you'll find good articles, peer-reviewed academic articles in the resource list on Wikipedia. But things like Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, also a good place to start, and you'll have a lot more peer-reviewed academic articles on that website that you can then attempt to find in the library, in books as well. So what you need to do is do some of your own research. Again, even if you don't agree with the counter-argument that you're presenting, you want to present the strongest counter-argument possible. Okay, so let's look at the logistics here. There are three ways that you can present your final paper. One is a written assignment, the second is a PowerPoint presentation, and the third is a video presentation. If you choose to do a written assignment, your paper must be 1,100 to 1,400 words in length, and that's just the written part of your paper. That doesn't include the title page and reference list. You have to choose 3 scholarly sources. Remember, again, scholarly sources are, in general and for the most part, peer-reviewed journal articles in the field of study, as well as academic books, or books that come from academic publishers. Newspapers are not scholarly resources. Government websites are not scholarly resources. And then finally, your paper needs to be formatted according to APA 6th edition. Follow the link to the Writing Center to ensure that you are following APA style. You can also do a PowerPoint presentation. Your PowerPoint presentation, if you so choose to do it, must be 10 to 12 slides in length, excluding the title slide and reference slides. However, you must also include an audio voiceover transcript or slide notes totaling between 1,100 and 1,400 words. So you can't get away with just writing down some bullet points on your slides and presenting it as your own. Instead, you need to, the slide notes portion are the little notes that you can make at the bottom of each slide. Or you could do an audio voiceover, but if you do the audio voiceover, then you'll need to type out the transcript of your voiceover. And then finally, a video presentation using PresentMe. It must be 5 to 10 minutes in length and include a voiceover component. Again, the voiceover must have a transcript that is between 1,100 and 1,400 words, including any references that you make in APA format. Okay, so that's your assignment. So a little overview. What did we talk about? Well, the first thing you need to do is find out which article you're most interested in, or which portion of each text you're most interested in. Read that text, and you are going to identify the issue, identify the premises and conclusions that the author presents, and then evaluate the argument. And then the second part of your paper or your presentation is going to be to create a counter-argument in which you argue against the position of the author from the excerpts that are listed here, and you present your own argument in an attempt to refute, or at least refute a portion of the original argument. So I hope that helps as an explanation of your Week 5 final project. Good luck and finish strong.